Minecraft have started making weird social media posts this week. One of them is a poem. This is an insistence that you should craft additional furnaces, and then there is looking for a better Pookie than you, but the very best of all of them is this one. Such a dumb joke. Although what also might have seemed like a joke is how Minecraft revealed their new weapon via one of these shorts, and then it later came to the game, which gets people theorizing about all of these posts, particularly the furnace one, because maybe they're adding furnace-powered boats, and that's why you should craft more, or maybe there are new cooking capabilities coming. Indeed, the most direct version of this I've heard is that the frying table is finally coming. This was a weird joke from an Ask Mojang a few months ago, but honestly, I can see the appeal of looking at this tweet and saying, oh, are they doing something new with arrows? Or this tweet and saying clearly they're doing something with the furnaces, or even the idea that there might be some new beautiful destinations because of this video. It is fun to theorize. However, I want to just be clear here, my goal on this channel is to inform people correctly, and that means saying that even though this is very fun hype, actually the way you can tell when Mojang are hinting or talking about an update is they'll put hashtag Minecraft update in there like they did for this video, or it'll be very clear from the video itself. It has not come up just yet that they've hinted something very tangentially related to an update, but instead what they're trying to do is they're pursuing a new social media strategy which clearly intends to be a bit more viral by being kind of deadpan or funny or indeed engagement baiting like this one. What's this one thing your friend does to you that has you like this? Pathetic. It's funny and it causes people to engage and share the brands, which is good, which is why they no doubt hire a social media team. It is not something to be confused with, and I think if you look for hints in this, if you expect Roger Badgman style hinting, it's not going to work out most of the time, even though I think it could be better if it actually did. The one tiny exception to that actually is the frying table. They very did clearly show it, and there are all sorts of things that are hinting around it. Maybe they do have some grand plan of a frying table that they're slowly hinting people towards, but I wouldn't take too much stock of everything else, even if it is funny that there would be signs if you won the lottery. Speaking of signs, when is 1.21 officially coming? Asked Jared's son 5441, and interestingly enough, the answer to this is usually one I will give in a video. Every year I usually make a video about when the update is coming out with all of the information we know so far, and I haven't made one even though it's March into this year. What's the reason why? It's because even though 1.21 is the next big update that most people care about, actually you should be asking where's 1.20.5 or 1.20.80 if you're on Bedrock, and that is because this minor update is actually a very big one containing all of the new wolves and the armadillo. It's the first time they've put the mob vote winner in just a sub update of the one that came out then, and so this will be the fastest time from vote to release, which is very exciting, but more importantly, you might want to know when that update is coming out, and rather than doing a full video for it, I will give you the hint that we are nearing the end of the snapshot cycle for the Java edition, and once the snapshot cycle finishes, they'll do a pre-release, they'll make sure that it's ready to release, and as soon as it's ready for Java, they can get ready to release it on Bedrock. There is no doubt one or two more betas for stability and bug fixing, but that is going to be the last big update before 1.21 comes out, and then we'll be able to talk about when that is officially coming. But spoiler alert, they've already said it's definitely 2024, and almost always they come out in June, so you know it's going to be pretty easy to work out when it'll be. Early summer is the easiest way that I could put that, and this is something that is very important to me because I obviously have to make sure that I'm not traveling or gone anywhere while these updates come out, because it's a very big part of this channel. And now that we say that, NavyVet9702 says, now you did it, Andrew. Mojang is going to wait for you to travel on vacation to release hardcore mode to Bedrock, and this is actually something similar. We know that hardcore is coming to Bedrock in the spring, at least for the betas and previews, and so that means anywhere between now, because spring started I guess yesterday, according to people who for some reason don't think it starts on March the 1st, and that means there is now a 3-month period where they might be releasing hardcore any week. I want to be the first person to play it 100 days live on YouTube, and so that means I need to be ready as soon as the update comes out. And you might be thinking like, oh, but there's no way to know when it's coming out, so what if you're gone? And here's the clever thing, I've planned all of my trips over the next couple of months. I am going to Jordan next month, for example, from Friday to Wednesday. There is no day where I will not be in the UK for a Thursday, which is usually when previews release. I have foolproof this, and I hope that that doesn't work against me somehow. Although now I can imagine Mojang releasing it on a Monday or Sunday just to spite me, but we all choose to believe that won't happen, just like Glass of Anarchy chooses to hope that Mojang will release the combat test snapshot for 1.21. It would be perfect with the theme of this update, and this is so true. They're releasing an update all about combat adventures, and they have a bunch of combat features they specifically tested and went through years of iteration on, but they're not going to be releasing any of those in the current version, or at least so it seems. Will they actually be bringing that in? I think the hopes of getting the full combat snapshot, or at least the majority of it, is starting to go downhill. We are now at this point just a couple of months away from the update needing to be fully feature complete, realistically more than like a few weeks, and so we're talking about the last few features that can come to 1.21. It would be shocking and surprising if last minute they said, oh yeah, by the way, new combat stuff. However, I think that if they're worried about implementing all of the combat update because of fear of reprisals or fear of the community not updating to it, just introduce the stuff that everyone likes. No one dislikes stackable potions. No one has any issues with it. No one has any issues with the idea of offhand coming to Bedrock. If you know, like there's no complaints about that. So why don't we just work out how to implement the best and ignore the worst? I know that in game design that's a bad idea sometimes and you need some counterbalances, but if people hate one part of the system and they really like the rest, maybe implement the rest rather than getting rid of the good with the bad. Or I guess the phrase for this is throwing out the baby with the bathwater, although honestly, I'll be honest with you, I would rather not have a baby with my bathwater. Speaking of bathwater, let me get this straight. There is an add-on called the Naturalist add-on, which looks to add a whole bunch of new animals to Minecraft. Among those animals appear to be an alligator and a shark. You're telling me Mojang won't add sharks themselves into vanilla Minecraft because of safety concerns, yet they're fine with it being locked behind a paywall? Why am I even surprised at this point? And I understand the cynicism behind this comment, and I kind of feel it a little bit too. Like, yeah, Mojang says, we will never do this because it's bad for the environment, but oh, you're gonna give us $4? Okay, you're allowed to do this then. Punch all the sharks you want. Ultimately, this is kind of a decision every company gets to make on some level, is like, yeah, we stand up for rights and morals and values, and oh god, are we gonna lose money? No, we don't. Stop. I'm sorry we said that. But it's kind of an interesting thing that this has applied always, but I think there is a deeper meaning to this, and that is that Minecraft really care about their vanilla game. They realized really early on in the release cycle that they could never keep up with modders because there's just thousands of them doing different things, and so the goal with vanilla is not to do everything that a mod can do, but instead to have a really polished core game. And so this is why, instead of focusing on having the biggest updates, they try to have really well-rounded updates that will make a great part of vanilla, and maybe even ideally could be modded on top of. This doubling down on the thing that they do best and the thing they do most importantly is something that I think everyone works out at some point in their life cycle, and it's an important part of what makes Minecraft such a good game with longevity. They could have 10 times as much content right now, but we probably wouldn't care about 80% of it, which is why they try to focus on small but important batches, and that's why so many updates go back and revisit major features and make them better. But anyway, with that said, that is why it is rare that we see a feature come to Minecraft now that is pointless. I think the, obviously the counter argument to that though is, look at this guy, the panda, what's he there for? Does he do anything? Does he add any value? And the answer is no, he's just there to be cute, and so this panda has effectively the same value as the shark from an add-on or from a lazy mod, and this is why I think they won't be adding more mobs like that. Even this year's mob vote winner, they spent a lot of time working on him and making sure that he would have some additional value, and the update that came with him would actually make it all have some sense in the game, and so it's clear that's their intention going forward, stated or otherwise. Speaking of intentions, DG Stretch looks at my add-on videos and says, you know, you don't have to give Mojang your money for these videos, because I did the add-on video and I paid for every single one of them. The total cost is $63 now, in case you're curious, and a lot of people say, why did you do this? Why did you give Mojang that much money? And the answer is, to do these videos where I go through each of the add-ons, I think it is fair that I pay for the piece of content so you can see what the experience is actually like and actually get an idea of value for money. I do accept codes from marketplace teams only if they come with a condition that they have absolutely no control over what I do with it, and if I can trash their add-on as much as I like if it was bad, and I think that that is the only fair way to actually do review content, to actually share what pieces of content are like. And given that a lot of people are excited about these new add-ons, I think that I can save 50 people purchasing it if I just do it once, and so in a way, spending $60 might save other people hundreds and hundreds of dollars, or might encourage them to work out what they do and don't want, and in my opinion, that makes it well spent, even if it's a very questionable decision on the surface, and even if it makes me very sad when I look at how many Minecoins I had to buy for it, but ultimately, that's what you've got to do sometimes to actually make the right piece of content. Speaking of right piece of content, the latest preview and beta brought in the brand new trial chamber map, and this is really fun, but Warrior Dude 128 has the theory that what fascinates me is that the cartographer gives you a map to a trial chamber, but there's so far none for the ancient city, which leads me to two conclusions. One, the cartographer doesn't know where it is, or two, the cartographer doesn't want you to find it. Either answer could have huge lore implications. I totally agree with this, Wario Dude. It is fascinating that they are adding a trial chamber map, but have none for the ancient city. I would say that both structures are kind of intended to look like they've never been found by someone else. The ancient city especially is meant to be this untouched place, and so how does the cartographer know where a trial chamber is? I am really glad on a gameplay level that it exists, but it makes you question, when did this guy explore and live this life? I personally think that on a lore level, and honestly on a gameplay level, it'd be more fun if it came from the Wandering Trader, although I'd say the Wandering Trader is also in this exact same boat of they really did a really good job updating it, but it's behind the experimental villager trading toggle, and some people don't like the idea of going through more work to get mending, and so as a result, we can't have the cool Wandering Trader changes. Is this a fault on the community for hating small parts of updates that will make their life 5% harder, or is this the fault of Mojang for looking at something and saying, yeah, well, if you can't have the bits that you don't like, you can't have the bits you do. If you won't eat your dinner, then you can't have dessert. Is that okay? Or indeed, is it bad for the community to want to have dessert all the time? Speaking of dessert all the time, I just want to finish this video with this comment from, because obviously on that same video I mentioned I was going out with my grandparents for fish and chips, and this person says, good guy, IBX Toycat, loving his grandparents. I just want to say, I think a lot of people pretend like, oh yeah, it's so easy to love your family or whatever. I find it to be actually tricky. They're my grandparents on my dad's side. I never had any contact with my father growing up, and so there's always a bit of like a gap in that relationship. It was very socially draining to be around people for days, even if they're relatives, but it's something that I think is important to do because there are all sorts of weird things you'll learn from your family because they literally have the same DNA and genes as you. They are the closest to you can be. I could say it's easy and effortless, but I think it actually does take a little bit of both of those things, and that is something it's probably worth putting in, and the closest thing you can find online is like finding people who share traits of you. It's important to work out when that's a thing you can do too, but there are all sorts of things you're going through in life that feel like they're so unique, but I assure you someone else has felt them, and if you can find out that experience and you can work your way through it, then you'll do a better job of getting through. And thank you, by the way, for getting through today's Q&A Saturday. I should mention, just as a heads up while we're having these serious discussions, that is precisely what's going to be happening in the Let's Play this week. I decided to take things just a little bit old school again. I do think that so much of modern YouTube has the crazy fast-paced editing and the hundreds of hours condensed down, but to the point where it loses the resemblance of how people actually play Minecraft, and I think sharing actual experiences of people is one of the things I wanted to do on this platform, so that is what the Let's Play will be, just in case you look at it and you're confused at why it's slightly different in the form or the length and the way that it works. I think it's one that a lot of you will enjoy. It's one I really enjoyed making, and we'll see if that's maybe a little bit of a diversion we can take with the Let's Play for a bit, because it's something that I'm finding to be extra important now as I continuously find my footing in life again after things have gone how they have. Thank you for being along with me, Internet. It really is something I appreciate you being here for, but I'll see you in the next one, which will be tomorrow, I hope. Unless something goes terribly wrong. Thank you so much for watching. I look forward to seeing the last features for 1.20.5 and 1.21, and of course, I'll be sharing all of that on the channel as we do. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.